viewers, and now we are having our press review for today. And first, we'd like to welcome our dear guest in the studio, Mr. Mohamed Sheta, the media expert. Good morning, Mr. Mohamed.
A very beautiful good morning to you.
Thank you very much. And the winter did start today.
Yes, it was a very foggy and rainy day this morning, but it was a beautiful and fresh morning. So hopefully everyone is
real start for the winter season.
Yes.
And we will start our press review from El Ahram. And we read President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his Eritrean counterpart, Sias Afwerki, stressed on Tuesday the importance of launching a joint committee aimed at boosting bilateral cooperation in all fields between the two countries. The two leaders also stressed the importance of enhancing cooperation in different fields, including agriculture and fisheries, as well as continued technical assistance to Eritrea from the Egyptian Agency of Partnership for Development, EIPAD. The EIPAD, established by Sisi in June 2014, aims to support African development by dispatching experts in several fields to African countries. President Sisi praised the ongoing cooperation between the two countries in international forums, and he stressed on the importance of increasing coordination and discussions on the region peace and stability related issues. Afwerki expressed his appreciation for the leading role that Egypt plays in the African continent. Egypt received over the past few weeks multiple African leaders who expressed readiness to boost bilateral cooperation. And to shed more light, we have the following report, and we'll be back after that to comment.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his Eritrean counterpart, Sias Afwerki, stressed on Tuesday the importance of launching a joint committee aimed at boosting bilateral cooperation in all fields between the two countries. The two leaders also stressed the importance of enhancing cooperation in different fields, including agriculture and fisheries, as well as continued technical.
We apologize for this technical problem in the report, and we comment about the meeting between Sias Afwerki and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the importance of the bilateral relations between both countries.
Well, I think the strategy of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is to strengthen the relationship with all the African countries, especially that we noticed over the past couple of years that other countries like China or Israel, for example, have been very active in enhancing the relationship between them and the African and some African countries. So I think it's a very good move, and it's also the ideas of boosting the leadership of Egypt on the African continent by giving technical support and know-how in different sectors, for example, like the agriculture sector. Of course, the Eritrean economy will benefit more from the Egyptian economy because their living standards is probably a little bit lower than the living standards here, and accordingly the labor costs as well and the wages as well. So probably they could be able to export more to Egypt than Egypt exporting to Eritrea. But nevertheless, it's definitely a strategic move as well, more than maybe an economical move.
Indeed. Moving to Akhbar Al-Yom newspaper, from where we read, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry embarks on several-day visit to Washington on Tuesday, the first since the election of Donald Trump as president. Sameh Shoukry will be meeting with his counterpart John Kerry as well as several congressmen. Egypt Foreign Ministry spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid announced the visit aims at promoting Egyptian-American relations and present Egypt's vision on the regional issues. Shoukry will discuss with Kerry U.S. aid to Egypt and the country's economic reform program. Crises in Syria, Libya, Iraq, and Yemen, as well as Israeli-Palestine conflict, will be discussed in the meetings, as well as efforts to combat terrorism. Shoukry will also be meeting with UN General Secretary-designate Antonio Guterres in New York. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry started an official visit to the United States, where he is expected to meet with his U.S. counterpart John Kerry, and of course this is the first visit since the election of U.S. President Donald Trump, U.S. elected president.
Yes, I think his meeting with Mr. Antonio Guterres will probably be more effective than his meeting with John Kerry, because actually John Kerry, it's only a matter of a few weeks, and already the transition team of Donald Trump is already having his
take over.
Exactly, is already starting to take over. So I heard in some other news that he will also be meeting with some representatives from the Donald Trump transition team. So this would probably make much more sense than meeting with the John Kerry, because actually I don't really know what he's going to discuss with the John Kerry. I mean, the failure of the United States over the past couple of weeks in a couple of years in Syria, in Iraq, or in the whole Middle East region in general. And the role of the United States during the beautiful Arab Spring we had. So I'm not really sure what he's going to discuss with them. But, well, I mean...
paving the way maybe with the new U.S. administration would be more fruitful.
I think so. I think so. And like I said, I think he will be. I heard some news that he will be meeting with some people from the Donald Trump team. So this is probably we'll probably hear about that in the next couple of days.
Hopefully, and we hope to see more change in the U.S. policy in the coming phase.
I think we'll definitely. It's going to be definitely a very fresh start in the United States in the relationship between Egypt and the United States. We have to notice that all the right-wing movements in the United States, in Germany, in the Netherlands, in Austria, they're all gaining lots of momentum these days. So there is, and of course, many of them have gained a certain popularity during the past couple of months because a majority of the people living in the United States and in Europe are afraid of the globalization and are afraid of the refugee waves coming and more or less invading Europe. So hopefully they will sit on one table and find solution for the Middle East region for the crisis in the Middle East region, because actually those are the main sources for those refugee crises, and of course for the African continent as well, because those are the two main regions which create lots of refugee waves to Europe.
Moving to Al Ahram, the government is planning a second phase of economic reforms to be discussed with the cabinet before being presented to President Al-Sisi. The new measures will include imposing progressive taxes, linking the automated wage system with citizens' national identification numbers, as well as to distribute food subsidies based on monthly income. The proposed system would provide a 100% subsidy for Egyptians who earn less than $2,500 per month, 70% for those who earn less than $3,500, and 25% for those who make less than $4,500. Egyptians whose monthly wages are more than $4,500 will not be eligible for the food subsidized system. The Ministry of Supply announced on Tuesday that it would give food subsidy recipient a 3-month period to submit their updated information to benefit from the new system. The measures include raising the food subsidy bill from 18 to 21 Egyptian pound per person, raising the supply prices of some basic crops to support local farmers, increasing food subsidies, as well as increasing the annual pay raise for the public sector from 5 to 7%. Nearly 71 million people in Egypt use subsidized cars to buy essential foodstuff, according to October's statement by Supply Minister Mohamed Ali El-Sheikh. What's your take on that regarding the redistribution of the subsidy system?
Well, this is a very sophisticated and wide-reaching issue, actually, because I think we need a complete restructuring of the subsidy system in Egypt. We need out-of-the-box solutions. The government is trying very hard. I don't know, maybe they should try harder, because in many cases it's not really enough. I think, I personally, I know some people who have a subsidy card, although they really do not need it, you know, and they
do not need it, or they do not deserve it?
Both, actually. They don't deserve them and they don't need them. But actually they buy them, they have them because, for example, they buy stuff for their drivers, for the people working in the house, for example, for the gardeners. So this is something which definitely needs to stop at a certain point. A couple of days ago, the government came up with the out-of-the-box idea of reducing or actually canceling the customs on imported chicken. So, and this is, as you probably noticed, the idea of it is to reduce the food prices in Egypt in general of the locally produced and locally manufactured goods. And this is something which is actually quite astonishing, that the food in Egypt is more expensive than the food in Germany, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, it is completely unacceptable, because the profit margins here in Egypt are so huge in every sector, not only in the food sector, in the automotive sector, in all the things which are assembled or produced in Egypt. People have such a huge profit margin. So, and as you might recall, I have been asking for reducing the customs on cars for months now.
Yeah.
And actually, the government now finally, maybe someone was watching our show, and then said, okay, let's start with the chicken first. So I think this is a good start.
The cars would follow.
I hope that, because actually
the customs are very high.
It is
one of the highest in the world.
it is incredible. Cars are twice as expensive as, for example, in Germany, where they are assembled at the first place. So just imagine, for example, a German brand from Stuttgart or Munich or Wolfsburg or any of these famous German brands costs in Germany, for example, 20,000 euros. They cost here around 40,000 euros. So. And this is not only the customs, because actually the customs for imported cars, which are called CBU cars, completely built up cars, are ranging between 16% and 30% right now. And actually, for the cars with engines smaller than 1.2 liter engines, they pay zero taxes and zero customs. Zero customs. So I think this is a very good start. They start opening the market, create more competition, because actually what I think is happening in Egypt right now is that the main key players in the different sectors, for example, in the food sector, on the car sector, are actually sitting together, which is, of course, against the law, and deciding what kind of prices we should put. So it is kind of very strange that imported chicken is cheaper than a chicken, a local chicken, for example, because the labor cost, the energy cost, and the transportation cost in Germany or in Europe, for example, is much higher than in Egypt. So I think the government should pay more attention to this, open the markets more, reduce the customs on all the different items locally, which we use here in Egypt, and all the different items we import. And I think this could be a start in order to get the in all different sectors.
Hopefully. Still with Al Ahram, and we read spokesman for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ahmed Abu Zaid, reiterated Tuesday Egypt's commitment to support the Palestinian people's rights. Tweet via his personal account on Twitter in both Arabic and English on Tuesday, saying, on the occasion of the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people, Egypt renews its commitment to support the Palestinian people's rights. The United Nations celebrates the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people on the 29th of November of each year, according to the United Nations. Sir, on that and the right to support the Palestinian people.
Well, I mean, it's no surprise that, of course, the United Nations wants to solve the Middle East crisis, because actually this is the main problem causing problems all over the world, not only in the Middle East. So it's no surprise that the Speaker, Ahmed Abu Zaid, also shows his support for this thing. I mean, Mahmoud Abbas was elected again as the chairman of the Fatah group a couple of days ago, and this was one of the this was a Fatah Congress which hadn't taken place for a couple of years. What I think also the Palestinians need to get their things together and sit down between them with the Palestinian parties, find solutions, and then also find solutions with the Israeli parts as well. I think the conference which was supposed to take place, or which is supposed to take place in Paris with the Israeli parts as well. I mean, Israel said that they will not attend it, and they're not planning to attend it. And I think this shows that things are not moving very smoothly there. So I think the international community, especially the European countries, they should put more pressure on Israel in order to really get them sit on one table and find sustainable solution for the crisis between Palestine and Israel.
Moving to Al Ahram Online, Cairo Criminal Court sentenced on Tuesday the 8 defendants to life in prison over charges of joining the lawful group and communicating with terrorist organization, the case publicly known as the Daesh in Qatar. 3 of the defendants were tried and convicted in absentia. The charges also included attacks on public and private properties, and the life sentence amounts to 25 years in jail according to Egypt Penal Code. Of course, we do not comment on the court ruling, but how do you see the process up to this moment of the trial of the terrorist elements here?
So you're not commenting, but you want my comment?
No, in general,
okay,
of course.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I think of course, the court system in Egypt here is completely overstrained with so many trials and everything. I think we should start trying to implement a zero tolerance strategy in all the different court trials, not only in criminal court trials, but also in the other trials as well. Things related to traffic, for example, traffic violations and things like that. I think one of the reasons why it's very nerve-wracking to drive, for example, in Egypt, and also, of course, for the investors when they come to Egypt and they see everyone on the street is doing what he wants to do, and there's no regulation. There are no harsh fines when someone is violating the traffic laws, for example. I think those are all things which the government and, of course, the parliament. I think the parliament has a very important role in this in order to really make people start sticking to the law, because this is the only way that we will be able to develop the society as a whole and, of course, develop the economy as well.
Mr. Sheta, before we wrap up our episode, we always comment about that, the regulation that has to be implemented, the law which has to be implemented regarding the traffic issues in Egypt, and yet we have a severe problem concerning that issue, which is affecting many other sectors as well.
Yes, of course, because if you talk about traffic, for example, the fact that people can do what they want on the street, this resulted in Egypt having one of the highest fatality rates worldwide. And this is, of course, something which I'm really surprised that the government is not taking this matter a little bit more serious, because actually road safety should be a top priority in Egypt, because if you want to attract investors will not come to Egypt with their families if they know that we have the highest road fatalities rates in the world. So in order to make it a secure environment to invite investors from abroad to come here with their family and live a good life and invest their money and build up the different sectors and create job opportunities, we need to create a good environment for them, and this includes safe roads, of course. And I hope that President El-Sisi really takes this issue very seriously and puts it on his top agenda, because this will definitely make a big change in Egypt.
Indeed, Mr. Mohamed Sheta, our media expert, thank you very much for
your
having me today. And with that, our viewers, we come to the end of our press review for today. Now we'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to resume the segments of the breakfast show. So stay tuned.